four principal subjects. But when I remember when I studied, I did my A level in 2005 at Masaka SS, and I did four principal subjects. So for me, I did physics, biology, chemistry, and math. So I have a lot of experience in science. Let alone, I did education, uh, uh, that is Bachelor of Science with Education, majoring in biology and chemistry. So I've been teaching biology and chemistry for now 15 years. I've been during that time, I have taught, I have examined, I have been I have been having many responsibilities in examining. I've written books, and right now I'm even dealing or selling the practical or equipment, laboratory equipment, and the reagents. So I have a lot of experience. I taught practicals for many years. So I'm talking about practicals from first experience. First of all, how can the learners prepare for a practical exam? First of all, a learner should attend practical classes. Of course, from first principles, there is no learner who is going to be able to do a practical exam when he did not learn. So, this tendency of some students thinking that practicals are very easy and therefore they can pass even without attending classes is wrong. So, I'm now talking to those learners who are about to do exams. I'm telling you, if you think that you can do these exams, record exams, when you didn't attend classes, you were lying to yourself. So it is not too late. Please look for the teacher and start studying these things. You are going to fail if you think you are going to you are just going to find specimens in the exam and pass. That is a wrong narrative. Again, appealing to the teachers. Of course, this senior four's time was somehow gone because they are remaining with just a few days. But those ones who are still in senior 3 or senior 2, let the learners get first-hand information from the beginning, right from senior 1. Because like in this new curriculum, we teach about these insects, for example, the cockroaches, the bees, the housefly, and the termites in senior 1. But they bring them in practicals in senior 4. So I'm appealing to the teachers, when you are teaching even in senior 1, bring these specimens, bring the cockroaches, bring all of to the class so that learners get to touch them, so that by the time they reach the exam, they have already interacted with them. Another thing is practice and revision. Yes, after the teacher teaching about the cockroaches, the bees, teaching about the light practicals in physics, it is incumbent on the learner to go back and practice. Usually the laboratories are free. Now after classes, go and practice. You studied about the light experiment. Maybe you were many. Now go back alone and see if you can be able to remember how to use the convex lens, how to use the mirror, how to use everything, and so that you can be able to come up with the results. Yes, so practice and revision is so important when it helps when you are preparing for practical exams. Another thing is utilizing past papers and sample questions. These things which they are going to ask you in the exam, they are not, they have been asked already. Yeah, because, for example, if the neighbor is going to bring bones, maybe vertebrae, lumbar or thoracic. They have already asked about these things. So go back and look at your syllabus and see if you studied about bones, you studied about the insects, you studied about several aspects. In physics, you studied light, you studied electricity. Now go to the past papers for your neighbor and say, what aspects were being asked about those practicals in physics, biology, and chemistry, so that you can be able to get well versed with what is likely to come. Another thing is safety procedures. In senior one, for example, you studied about the precautions, how to use the lab. So be aware of how to be careful when you are in the lab, and make sure that you take those measures so that you can be safe in the lab. When you are in the lab, especially maybe these are the A-level students, because for them they get exposed to chemicals which are hazardous. Make sure that you are having a mask. Make sure you are putting on gloves, like when you are doing dissection of a rat, all a toad, all cockroach. Make sure that you are putting on gloves so that you can be able to be safe. If you are, make sure that you study the practical you are dealing with. For example, those ones which deal with the heating. If you become conscious that it might emit gases which are dangerous, make sure that you have protected yourself very well. When you are dealing with the acids, for example, hydrochloric acid, sulfuric acid, and all that, make sure that you be careful. Those heating experiments, like food tests in biology, make sure that you are careful. When you are heating, make sure that, for example, the test tube is not facing you, or it is not facing the neighbor, because usually those things, they boil and then they can sprinkle and they end up burning your face, and you lose your beautiful face. So another thing is to keep accurate records. Practicals, basically, they are about taking measurements. You take measurements. You observe and take measurements. You know, in, for example, food tests, after you have boiled, maybe you have mixed the reagent and particular solution, there is something that you are going to come up with. So you should be able to take those, the records very well, take the observation. You should know how to write. You see, if the color has turned, you should know how to write. I know your teachers have been teaching you that. If you have been in, for example, a light experiment, you should know how to take those records very well, those observations. If it is electricity, you have measured, maybe you have measured the current, you have measured the voltage. You should know how to take those results. The units you should know very well. If it has been biology, and maybe it is the soil experiment, you should know that if it is the volume of soil, what are the units of the volume of the soil that you are dealing with. Then confidence. Confidence is key. You have to stay calm in the exam. Trust me not, if you have been practicing, this is the usual things which are, things are going to be usual. So there is no need of being nervous. You just need to be calm, be confident, because once you become nervous, you are not going to be able to hold the apparatus. You are going to be breaking the test tubes. You are going to be breaking the burettes. You are going to be breaking the pipettes. Every pipette you are going to be touching. I have ever investigated an exam, and a student was breaking everything, breaking the test tubes, breaking the burettes, and because she was not calm. You have to be calm. You have to be confident. If you are not confident, you even fail to write your name. You fail to write anything. So you have to be confident. Another issue that I want us to look at is why do students fail practical exams? Why do students fail practical exams? However much we are saying that practicals are easy because it is just observation. They provide for a specimen, maybe a cockroach, and they ask several questions about it. And for you, you just observe. How they can say how many limbs has it got, and then you write maybe 6. So it's about observing. Then they ask you what's the use of those limbs. Then you write. So it is about just observing and then you write. But why? How comes that sometimes students fail the exams? One, there is lack of hands-on experience. We realize that some students just go don't attend classes. I talked about it. Because some of them think that the practical exams are easy. You are going to fail. Students end up failing because they have not been practicing. Teachers also make mistakes, and sometimes they just teach when confident, and that is malpractice. Teaching when the confidential has come. When the teachers are warning you, if you never get realized to know that there is a particular school which is teaching after releasing confidential, it is malpractice. They will just get you and they put you in jail, you as a teacher. And even they cancel the papers. They cancel the papers of students even before they start to do the exams. So please don't do that. So some students, for them, some teachers teach just confidential, but they will not be. The students will not get enough time to get well versed with the concepts. Yeah, for example, you get for me. For example, when a teacher maybe gets to know that the confidential is having lumbar vertebra, so that is when now the teacher is going to teach about the bones. But like this one has some terminologies which are somehow you cannot grasp in one lesson. Like a teacher will come and tell them that this is the neurospine, this is the neurocanal, this is the centrum, this is the transverse processes. The learners cannot grasp that, all those terminologies in one lesson. They will now go in the exam when they have forgotten the things. They will not be able. So, having hands-on experience, having practicing these things, the practical aspects, having enough time practicing is so important. When you don't do that, you are going to fail. Then, inadequate preparations, I've talked about that. You have to prepare very well. After the teacher teaching about the experiment for electricity, you have to go back and practice it in the laboratory, alone or in a group. Then, poor time management. Time management is so important. You must manage your time very well. You must know that this is the time for reading the question paper. This is the time for setting up the apparatus according to how the question is saying. You must know that this is the time for recording. This is the time for analyzing. This is the time for doing this. So if you don't budget your time very well, you can end up now all the time you are setting up the apparatus as the question is saying. So you don't get the time for recording, you don't get the time for writing the analysis. And that means you would have failed flat, because the examiner will not be able to know that you did the setup. You have to finish, you have to show the examiner that you did the setup by writing down something, by writing down what you have observed, by writing down the results of the experiment. So you must budget your time very well so that you can be able to do everything that is required in the practical exam. Another issue is lack of attention to details. Practical is one of the things which are examined is attention to details, because that's why you have to use, for example, in biology, a handy lens or microscope so that you can be able to observe all the aspects, because sometimes when they are setting, they are not going to set obvious things. There are some things which they are going to set, but they are hidden. So you must be able to come up with everything, analyze the specimen they have given you, and be able to you have to be able to come up with everything that is needed. So pay attention to the details. And then another issue is lack of confidence and nervousness. Because some people lack confidence, they start quaking. Somebody fixes and even fails to write. Somebody even fails to lift the specimen. And people start breaking the apparatus, breaking the test tube. So you have to be confident. Fight that nervousness and be able to carry the apparatus and set up what they are telling you to do. And then another issue is the lack of familiarity with the exam format. So this one goes now to the teachers. Make sure that the learner knows the format by exposing the learner to the past papers of UNEB and the exam format, because so that the learner can be able to know what is likely to be exposed to. Yes, some learners, for them, of course, you know, when you are teaching, you are right. Sometimes in some schools, they write the exams even on board. Now here, a learner goes to the exam and find that the question paper is even white. Even that one can scare the learner. Or the font of the letters, or the font of the words, that one can even scare the learner. So you must expose the learner to the exam format and the structure, to be knowing that this is in physics I'm going to find 2 questions. But I'm going to find 2 questions. The first question is going to be about this. The second question is going to be about this, so that the learner does not find new things in the exam. Then poor record keeping, because I said that in the practical you are going to set up the apparatus and specimen as they have told you to you manipulate the specimen as they have told you, but at the end of it all, you are going to record down something. You record what you have observed. So you must know how to record those results. So failure to know how to record the results, the units and the format and all that, you're going to end up failing. So those are some of the aspects which lead learners to fail the exams. And once you get well versed, once you get to be careful with what I've noted down, you are likely to excel in the practical exams.